What's up, everybody? Welcome to the CanesInsight Daily Podcast, powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. It is signing day eve. Me and Pete are about to go live tomorrow for who knows how many hours, starting at 7:30. So we're gearing up. A lot to talk about. It's been a disappointing few days, but we're still alive. A lot to look forward to, and we're excited. Signing day is always good, man. So I'm jacked up for it. Excited to talk about the latest that I'm hearing. But it's going to be an interesting one, and it's not going to stop. This signing day continues all the way until that portal closes. It's going to be a very, very interesting time period in talent acquisition. First, I want to talk about some folks who are always on point and stocked with talent. That is Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. Pete, hop in here.
What's up, D? Yeah, man, it's been obviously a tough few days, starting with Saturday and then some of this recruiting momentum as we head into early signing day tomorrow, which is the big signing day now these days. But I titled this thing Setting the Stage for Signing Day. So just kind of wanted to get people ready for, some of the main recruits we're looking for here down the stretch. As again, we'll be starting early in the morning. We'll be doing a marathon day. Last year, I did it from home. We had like 30,000 viewers. That was a great time. Obviously, we had the Jeremiah Smith saga, which was a fun thing to follow right until the very end there. Even after he announced, we didn't know if he had sent in the paperwork, stuff like that. So that was a lot of fun. So we'll see if there's something like that in the works tomorrow. But either way, excited to go, pretty much the full day with you here, marathon day, and we'll have it here at the studio. So we got our boy Pop Subs, going to be catering for us, bringing over his selection, and we'll be here all day. Excited to be hanging out with the Canes fans.
You saw that story that came out on 3. Hayes Fawcett, who does the edit, said that he got sent an edit from Jeremiah Smith at like 2:50 in the morning the night before for the Miami Hurricanes. So Jeremiah was ready to go to Miami, obviously went to Ohio State. Don't need to talk too much about that. Just really an example to show you how crazy these things get. And even when you think you know, even when the coaches think they know, the people around the player think they know, a lot of times you really don't know until they sign on that dotted line. David Stone was not a signing day commit, but his family thought he was picking Miami until he went ahead and picked Oklahoma. Hopefully we get some of those going our way. Those are two that went against us last year. But here's the bottom line, setting the stage here for what we're looking at signing day. So obviously not been a good week. The loss of Syracuse, we've covered that one ad nauseum. It was just a terrible, terrible blow. Follow that up with Gavin Nix, a coveted linebacker commit, a guy I really liked out of IMG, flipping his commitment to Oregon. You also had Hilton Stubbs, Drake Stubbs, flipping his commitment, safety from Miami to Florida. So you lose two very important defensive recruits at two spots that you struggled with. This was a defense that was extremely porous this year. I don't need to remind everybody of that. So you lose guys right up the middle that can really help you. That hurts. These are productive players with Nix and Stubbs, high 4-star players, guys that can really go, guys from the state of Florida. So not good news at all, considering the positions that were lost and the caliber of players that were lost. So what are we looking at on signing day still in play? On the defensive side first, before we flip to offense, you are still playing defense on Josh Moore. The Gators are coming at him hard. Everything I've heard there is positive, but that's a battle. Josh Moore, some people believe he is the best receiver in the state based on how well he played as a senior. The size, the athleticism, we've seen the guy do backflips and make all kinds of crazy catches. Played both ways at times for West Broward, had a pick 6 on top of some long catches and runs, and the contested catches he's great at. So you're playing defense on Josh Moore. I believe on 3, they're the highest on him. They have him as borderline 5-star player. I think internally the rating on Josh Moore is in that similar to on 3, right? So that's a national publication and their evaluation, and Miami, they match there. And Florida is extremely, extremely high on Josh Moore, so they're coming at him. I feel good about where Miami is there, but they're playing defense. That's the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, you've already lost 2, so there's already been some attrition. Also, Tim Merritt, I said it on the bank for quite a while that I didn't expect him in this class. That's coming to fruition. You expect him to go to Tennessee. Commitment, defensive back from Alabama. So that was not a surprise. You've been a long-time listener to this show. Like and subscribe if you're not. We're on every single day on top of the marathon show tomorrow. So again, like and subscribe to the show. We appreciate you. So those three at very important positions, need positions, given what happened on defense on the field, out the door. Not good. Merritt's not official, but I think everybody's expecting him to be out the door. So who's on the who's left? Who are you attacking on the offensive side? When I say offense, I mean guys you're trying to add to the class, guys you're trying to flip. You have DJ Pickett, the athlete out of Riverview, Florida, 6'4 plus, 4.3 speed, 5-star player committed to LSU. LSU just lost a 5-star commit at the defensive back position, and DJ Pickett's dad tweeted a chess emoji. He also tweeted a video of Plies, the rapper, known for the Real Testament album, one of the best albums of this era. He posted a video talking about how recruiting's a business, and the dad quote tweeted it and said, yeah, it's a business. My read on that, based on what I know about this recruitment, and I've said for a while, this one's going to come down to the wire and going to be a wild one. He's got more leverage on LSU because the DB decommitted, and it's a business. Money deal. There's other stuff involved, but I mean, I'm just taking his dad at his word and what I know about this recruitment. They're treating it like a business, and they have every right to. It's a lot of money we're talking about here. So don't blame the family for approaching it that way, but that shows you kind of where that recruitment's at and how we're heading into signing day on that one. Dallas Wilson, 5-star committed to Oregon, wide receiver from Tampa, not very far from DJ Pickett. Freak athlete like DJ Pickett. He's another one that we flagged on this show months ago and said, this is going to be one of those recruitments that's going to be wild until the end. I think that's still the case. Oregon's fighting to hold on. Miami's pushing there. Florida's pushing there. Those two are just in that wild card category, both 5-star players. Miami has a shot at both. I'm not going to predict Miami for both. I've been saying I thought Miami for DJ Pickett the whole time, but maybe the negativity's getting me. I don't know. It seems like the logical choice, but again, business is going to come into play with these, and I don't know how that's going to end up. We'll see how the whole thing unravels. Miami's got plenty of money. It's not Miami crying poor situation, but there's a lot of players. There's a lot of needs. We'll see how this thing all shakes up as you get closer to signing day. These things tend to move fast and move in different directions. It's hard to predict when it's that kind of recruitment. TJ Alford, linebacker out of Vero Beach. Miami's still pushing there. Word I keep getting is 50-50 battling with Ohio State. Miami had the momentum a week ago. Ohio State tired of losing guys to the Miami Hurricanes. They lost Justin Scott last year, Mark Fletcher a couple years ago, Jordan Lyle. So they don't want to keep losing guys to Miami. They're battling to keep him. That one's about 50-50. Highly coveted linebacker who can run sideline to sideline, super athletic, out of Vero Beach, 4-star. That's one to watch. TJ Alford's also very close to Jarquez Carter, the defensive tackle from Newberry, another Ohio State commit who is a really, really good player, having an incredible senior year. He's a teammate of Miami commit Micah Newton. Miami's fighting there. If Miami was to get Alford, I think that would improve the momentum with Carter, because now you have his friend Alford from Ohio State flipping to Miami, and of course his teammate Micah Newton committed to Miami. So that's something to watch as far as the dominoes. It's not a package deal, but if you get Alford, you have a better chance of getting a Jarquez Carter. You also, Ben Hanks, Vernell Brown, I think those are pretty far down the road. But those four names that I mentioned are the names that I think Miami's really making a strong push to flip and to get in the boat here on signing day. Because right now, as you stack it up, Miami's the 13th ranked program in the country. I don't believe they've incorporated the Gavin Nix flip in. Let me just check to see if they've incorporated the Gavin Nix flip. They have. So Miami right now sits at number 13 in the nation. You expect some teams to rise up as they get some commits here on signing day that they didn't expect, or that they expected haven't gotten yet. And they'll push them up over Miami. Miami will need to add if it wants to stay at 13. And, people are going to be going crazy in the chat. I would just say if you end up with the 13th ranked class or worse, that's certainly a loss. I mean, it's like the loss to Syracuse. What can you say other than that'd be a huge disappointment after finishing 4th last year and really emerging as a recruiting powerhouse, taking a huge step back down to 13, 14, 15, 16 range. That'd be a loss. There'd be no other way to spin it. Miami is looking to make that final push and get some players in the boat here, but it's a concern. I don't know what to say other than it's very possible that Miami strikes out with all these guys and finishes in that bottom half of the top 15, which would be an extreme disappointment. But you don't know. They could also have a good day and rise up to closer to that top 10 range. But this is really where you're at as a class. I've talked about the portal. I've been told repeatedly that Miami expects to make a big splash at the portal. And people are going to hear that and say, yeah, any coach that or any staff that doesn't do as well as they want on signing day is going to say they're going to do well in the portal. Let me be unequivocal. The plan was to hit a top 5 class in high school and then get some great players in the portal, similar to what Miami did last year. So it's not like if they do poorly, it's part of a master plan because they're saving all the money for the portal. No one's saying that. No one's making that excuse. No one's spinning that narrative. But the reality is, if you miss on some targets, that money will be reallocated to the portal. And I think talking to the Miami Hurricanes, they feel good about the plan for the portal. They know that the defense needs an incredible amount of help. That's no secret. And of course, you need to replace the best player in the country. So no small task in the portal. There's a lot of confidence they can get what they need to done. Hopefully you can add some guys in high school that are going to help you next year as well. You did have some freshman contributors this year with an OJ Frederick as your best corner, Elijah Lofton, a dynamic offensive player, Jordan Lyle, Bobby Pruitt doing some nice things for you in flashes. So that's really where we're at, setting the table for tomorrow. And we'll be on all day to break it down. If I get more information, I will be doing a bank either live or on CanesInsight.com or both. People want you to pull up the website here. I strongly encourage everybody that wants to follow along with recruiting. You get 2 screens, right? You can get us here on the YouTube, and you can have CanesInsight.com on the screen. This is the best way to experience signing day. CanesInsight.com, the free message board, the center of the Miami Hurricane community, 7 million posts and counting. There you see the stories on the front page. Pete, go ahead and click that forum button. Show people how to get to the forums. These forums on signing day are absolutely insane. I remember back before our technology was good and the site was a little more rinky dink. When Tracy Howard committed to Miami, we were down for like 3 months. I don't know, or 3 minutes. I don't know if you were around for that, Peter.
I was.
Yeah, that was a nightmare. But we're a little stronger now.
That wasn't the only time it crashed.
We can withstand a DJ Pickett or Dallas Wilson commit if one comes down. But this board gets absolutely insane around this time, as you can see from the activity level. 7 million posts and counting. Join the conversation. We also have the transfer portal message board, which is really hot and is going to stay hot all the way through January and then again in the spring. People, every time someone jumps in the portal, you get great insight onto the player, the background. Seems like everybody knows somebody on this board because when someone jumps in the portal, you get a nice GIF, you get a nice story, you get a lot of action. So a lot of fun on CanesInsight.com. And that's where we're at, man. That's where the table is. What's up with you? What's up with you, Pete? I know you're fired up for Arkansas right now against Miami Hurricanes here on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm as fired up as I was when the schedule first came out, but it's been a really rough go for the hoops team, man. I know you've been following along a bit too, but I was at the first half of the game. It was a banner day on Saturday for the Canes Canes athletics between football and basketball, but I was at the first half of that game, and they didn't look good. Nigel Pack was out, but Charleston Southern wasn't missing shots in the first half, it felt like. And then the second half, we were watching it on Mo Chetta's phone. Shout out to Mo Pelaez. And man, we just couldn't get it done. It was ugly.
No offensive rebounds at all. No defensive rebounds. No presence of any kind. So, not a great day at the office, but hopefully tomorrow is a better day. I know we got some questions here. If you call them questions, it might be venting sessions, which listen, I get it. I wouldn't fight you if you do want to vent, but go ahead and Pete, pull some questions here.
Let me see here. Green Tree All-American says, why is ESPN pushing the Miami narrative for the playoff, but betting odds favor Bama getting in?
Good question. Who's complaining? We used to complain about them pushing a narrative against us. One thing to consider with the odds is the odds also factor in Miami Clemson beating SMU. So even if, let's say Miami is the 11th ranked team tonight, which, I try not to think about it too much because what can you do? The loss really was deflating and now it's in everybody else's hands. But let's say Miami is the 11th ranked team today in the college football playoff rankings. you still need Clemson to lose to SMU for Miami then to slide in there to the playoff. So to pick Miami to make the playoff, it's sort of a two-part bet. You're betting on Miami to get the ranking ahead of Alabama, and then you're also betting on Clemson to lose to SMU, and that's pretty much a pick 'em game. I think it's like a 1.5 point spread in favor of SMU. So that's why Miami's odds are lower, because two things have to go very right for Miami to make it in to the college football playoff. And look, that's why that loss on Saturday was so deflating. This feels like cheering for Coastal losses back in the day, which we were always doing around this time. You don't take care of business and you're forced to watch others. That's unfortunately sort of the name of the game.
Yeah, I've been trying to find a sensible question.
Let people vent. Let people vent. It's all right. We're all going through it here.
Says class slowly falling apart? ? Out of the top 15. I mean, it's not happening very slowly. I'll tell you. I'll tell you that it's been violent and quick. It hasn't been slow.
Yeah, I mean, very possible. Look, the top 15. I think my guess, if I had to bet, I think we get into the top 15, probably not the top 10. I think we'll find our way into that top 15. But yeah, it's possible we do, and that'd be a nightmare. The good thing is you do have a very good offensive class, but what I'm seeing as the issue is the same issue you had on Saturday and the whole season, which is it's an unbalanced recruiting class where the strength is on offense and the weaknesses are on defense. We saw on the field, strength on offense, weakness on defense. I think those two things are linked to a degree. We got a lot of negative recruiting the past couple months against our defense. Hilton Stubbs, Drake Stubbs, who flipped to Florida. Even though Florida's defense is horrible and worse than Miami by pretty much every metric, and Miami absolutely embarrassed that defense in the opening game, he was hearing negative recruiting on Miami's defense. I don't know if you saw the game where Cam Ward sat in the pocket for about 30 seconds before throwing every time because the Gators pass rush couldn't do anything to Miami's offensive line, but it is what it is. So I think because the defense is struggling, that's one reason, not the only reason, but one reason why you are seeing a real good offensive class and a not so good defensive class at the moment. A DJ Pickett would help. A TJ Alford would certainly help. A Jarquez Carter at defensive tackle would help improve that side of the ball, but that's what you're doing. But Pete, by the way, we got some breaking news. I don't know if you saw that.
I just saw what you sent.
So let's pull this up here. So we have breaking news. The All-ACC team has been announced. I just saw it right now as you guys are seeing it. We got 17 Canes getting All-ACC honors, which appears to be a record set in 2017, the last time Miami won double-digit games. First team All-ACC, Cam Ward, no surprise. Xavier Restrepo, no surprise. Andre Borregales, no surprise. But here's one that I didn't necessarily expect. Simeon Barrow, first team All-ACC. So shout out to Simeon Barrow for getting that done. That's pretty awesome. In terms of second team selections, Elijah Arroyo, I think he's, Aranda Gadsden, I guess, was the first team tight end is my assumption. But I think Elijah Arroyo is the best tight end in the conference by far. I think he's the best tight end in the whole nation. Francis Mauanoa, second team. Francisco Mauanoa, second team All-ACC on defense. He was up and down, but, glad to see him get that honor. Mish Powell, second team safety. And then you get to the third team. You got Damian Martinez, Jacoby George, Jalen Rivers, Ines Cooper, Zach Carpenter, Tyler Barron, Ruben Bain, Akeem Messidor, and OJ Frederique, true freshman, getting an All-ACC team. They're honorable mentions there. So, pretty interesting list when it comes to the All-ACC.
Yeah, and it means you have a lot of guys who are honored there. It means your team had a really successful season for the most part. Obviously, didn't end the way that we wanted it to here, but it does signify that the team as a whole had a good year. We had a comment here, D. I want to get to.
Well, real quick, I'm noticing. Look at the first team All-ACC offense. You have Brashard Smith, Xavier Restrepo, Ja'Cory Brooks, Aranda Gadsden, Desmond Reed. So 5 South Florida kids making the first team All-ACC on the offensive side of the ball, plus Andre Borregales, who's a Miami guy. So that's 6. If you would have had Marcus Tate, who made second team offensive guard, you would have had 7. Isaac Brown was also second team running back. So South Florida really had a good year in terms of offensive guys in
Did
the
they
conference.
announce like the rookie of the year?
That's going to be announced tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because Carl Davis said OJ didn't get any awards? ? And I saw one of the big ACC writers said he was picking OJ for Defensive Rookie of the Year. So so we'll keep an eye on that tomorrow.
By the way, you saw Jared Harrison Hunt also named first team All-ACC.
Yeah.
So Miami player getting it done.
Props to him.
Former Miami player getting it done.
Carl Davis, this is a comment I wanted to get to. Carl Davis said, it would not be smart to let Martinez go. Need to use NIL to bring him back. Look, Miami would love to have him back. And I'm sure they would pay him. They would pay him to come back. It's not that necessarily that he wouldn't, get paid. It's just like his position at running back. He's healthy. He has had 3 now productive seasons at the collegiate level. At his position, it's less about production now at this point that his body's healthy. Now, he still has a decision to make whether he wants to enter, take a look at his options. But again, coming out healthy, which he is right now, by all accounts, again, another productive season, you would think he leaves, D. And I think that was the plan heading into the season. And I don't think he's done anything to necessarily change that viewpoint.
Yeah. By the way, if you see me checking my phone, it's just because I'm trying to make sure I don't miss any news so I can give it to you guys right when I get it. So I apologize if you see me ducking down. That's what I'm doing. Martinez is a running back. Running backs only have so many carries in their bodies. When they're ready to go, they should go. I love Martinez. If you guys have listened to this podcast, I'm sure a lot of you have. If you haven't, by the way, like and subscribe. We got about almost 1,400 on right now. So appreciate everybody. If you're joining us for the first time, like and subscribe. You see the community here. We're on every single day talking Canes. Rain, sleet, or shine, holiday, no holiday. We're on every single weekday and usually on the weekends as well. So tune in, like, and subscribe. But with Martinez, we love when Martinez was struggling at the beginning of the season. What was I saying? Long season. Martinez is going to be a great player for us. Ended up having a really good season. Everybody I think kind of realizes now once he adjusted to Miami's running style that he was a premier back, and I think he's going to be a really good NFL player. I see guys like Gus Edwards. He really reminds me of James Conner. If I'm picking a comparison for Damian Martinez, James Conner from the Arizona Cardinals, originally from the Pittsburgh Panthers. I see a similarity there with Martinez. I think he's going to have a really, really good career, but he should go. Running backs only have so many carries, and he was always one and done, like you said, Pete. Jordan Lyle, Mark Fletcher, Gerard Pringle, who Miami's going to sign tomorrow. Elijah Lofton could also play running back. It might be his best position in some ways. And you have Chris Johnson as well. We'll see if A.J. Allen sticks around. He's super talented. So I think running back, Miami should be okay there. You'd love to have a Damian Martinez because he's a great player, but I think that's a position Miami's done a nice job recruiting, particularly in Broward County, which is going to allow them to have a pretty good season running the ball next year.
Got a question here from Billy Candela. Can you compare the scope/impact of the Syracuse loss to a recent loss in Canes history? No ACC championship, negative recruiting impact, potential boot from playoff.
We haven't been good that much to have like losses that knock you out, So that's one thing is we just haven't been good to have anything to lose. So I'd say that's something to consider as you go back. Maybe you go back to I don't even know, the Clemson loss in 2017. That wasn't an upset. So that one just feels a little different.
The Pitt loss, but even that, the Pitt loss
didn't hurt. It didn't cost. It didn't cost you anything.
You could still have won against Clemson and gotten in.
I would say the North Carolina loss in 2020. That was a pretty good team with De'Aaron King, Jalen Phillips, Quincy Roche. You had a pretty good ball club that year, and you ended up not doing anything because North Carolina destroyed you at home. There were COVID issues, a lot going on with that team that hurt them that week, as far as coaches going to the hospital, almost dying, players getting sick, things that are just weird that hurt you in that game. But ultimately, you had a Manny Diaz defense going against a pretty good North Carolina offense with Sam Howell, Javonte Williams, Michael Carter, and they got trounced. And that really took the wind out of what has been a cool season at that point with De'Aaron King throwing the ball over the place and the team having fun, and a Rhett Lashley offense. So I would say that one kind of brings me back here. I got a question I want to address from Yalaha Kane. Do you guys feel we deserve better answers as to why more young guys on offense didn't get the chance to play? Were JoJo and Carr that far behind Smith? What I would say, when Smith is, who's Smith? Sam Brown he's talking about, maybe?
I don't know.
I got to make sure I'm getting old. Yeah, maybe Alex talk about Sam Brown or George. So the reason why young guys didn't play as much in the offense, to me, that was a simple one. It was the number one offense in the country. So you had a great unit with veteran players. All four of those receivers are going to be pros. Even Sam Brown, who had a very disappointing season, he'll be a pro. So veteran guys, future pros, operating at a high level. That's usually not where you'd play a young player. I think if there were injuries or opportunities otherwise, Carr and Trader were both ready to play. I was hearing great things about them in practice.
He says he meant Jeremiah Smith.
Oh, that's a great. Well, look, Jeremiah, that's a great question. Now I understand a little better. I apologize, Yalaha. Jeremiah is a level above everybody.
You had people saying Jeremiah could make the jump from high school to NFL.
Yeah, he's pretty unique with his size, his strength, and his work ethic and his speed. I mean, the whole thing. Very similar to Andre Johnson, but probably further along than Andre Johnson at that age, because Andre Johnson redshirted, believe it or not, early on in his career. He didn't really play till his redshirt sophomore year, which is crazy, but true for those of you who remember Andre Johnson as a recruit from Miami High. I think the problem with JoJo and Carr, again, was the players in front of them. That's why they didn't play, because you just had NFL veterans on the number one ranked offense in the nation that led the country in yards per pass. So unique situation. I think both those guys can do a lot next year, and I'm actually excited to see what they can do as basically replacing Jacoby George and Sam Brown. I think they're going to do great. I think they're going to be really, really, really good. That's one area of next year's team I'm excited to see. Maybe even as early as a bowl. Hopefully you're in the playoffs and you're not even talking about that. But if it goes sideways and you don't make the playoffs, if you play like, let's say, whatever Cheetos, Doritos bowl in Orlando, you could see those guys perform and see what they got.
Getting questions on, again, if we think there's going to be changes to the defensive staff. The answer is yes, we do think so. Yeah, I do think there will be changes to the defensive staff. You've seen with Mario that happens. So he's not afraid to make changes. I hate to talk about people's jobs like that, but when you have the worst defense, in the ACC, probably besides FSU, that's what happens. So I hope, listen, I hope we make it to the playoffs through the back door and the defense pitches shutouts the whole way. We're not talking about that, but most likely I think you'll see changes on the defensive side of the ball because the team didn't really perform very well, and Mario's pretty aggressive when it comes to making moves, as he has shown in the past. Overall, I think what we need on defense, I've been talking to people about it and watching film, they really just need a culture change. And it's funny, there's so much X's and O's, but when I talk to people that have coached at the college level or really high in the high school level and they really understand the game, the first thing they talk about is, does the defense play hard? Do they have a good culture? Do they tackle? Before any X's and O's, that's what they're looking for. And I think when you look at Miami's defense, I don't think they played that hard. I don't think they tackled very well. And I didn't sense a culture and identity in that building. So, on the field, I should say. I don't know what happened in the building. I haven't been in the building. But in terms of just what's happening on the field and that unit, you didn't see it. So that's something I think needs to get corrected going forward. And that's going to be certainly something that the coaching staff, Mario, everybody focuses on. How do you get that defense playing with an identity and with a purpose? You saw that defense switch in 2015 to 2016 overnight. The same players were playing at a whole different level. Yes, there were schematic changes, but there was also a culture change, identity change, a mindset change. And that led a defense that was one of the worst in the country under Coach D'Onofrio to being one of the best under Manny Diaz, just like that. So, I don't think Coach Guidry is Mark D'Onofrio. I think he's got a lot to offer in the college game. So I don't want to
zero in on him or make those kind of comparisons. I'm just saying the defensive identity right now is subpar. And I think that's a lot to do with the results. Little plays, little opportunities to make the extra hit, to make the extra effort. You don't see them on film.
We're getting a lot of questions about like when we could see these changes happen, what the timetable is. And again, I said it on yesterday's show. It's a very tricky timing right now because obviously we have signing day tomorrow, but at the same time, there's an outside chance Miami makes it into the playoff here. And there's a comment here saying, well, Coach D Nick should, could he potentially run the defense? I think for as badly as Miami's defense played this year, you still would want to go into that run with a guy who's run the defense, and as opposed to someone who's never actually run a defense.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
In that run. So that's what makes this thing a little tricky in terms of the timing.
Yeah. I think, listen, I hope we're having that problem, right? I hope we're complaining about Coach Guidry in the playoffs. That's a good thing. We'll see. We'll know a lot more tonight, obviously, but not counting on it. That's why we're talking about so many different things at once, between the portal, between the high school class, and between this playoffs and potentially then a bowl if you don't make the playoffs. Very interesting timing, unique. I'm still getting used to it. I'm sure the coaches certainly are. And talking to those, being in that building, I was actually there today to record some Storm Session episodes. We got one coming up tomorrow, I believe, with Kiko Mawanoa. So check out that one on YouTube, Miami's official YouTube. It's a Storm Sessions. I show podcasts I do with the University of Miami with some of the student athletes, learning more about their journey. But, being in that room, a lot of eyes on tonight and the college football playoffs. So hopefully that one goes our way. Get some energy in the building. Still can't control what ultimately happens on Saturday with Clemson and SMU, but at least you got some life. We'll see how that goes. But if we're talking about someone that always has life, that's Islas Canarias Express, Pete.
Yep.
I mean, listen, you're going to be sitting on signing. Here's the perfect signing day. You call out from work, or you're working from home.
You're going to pick this up tomorrow morning?
You can get pop subs, which we'll talk about that. But man, if you're in the mood for some Cuban food, Islas Canarias Cuban Express, you just pull up. Look at this. You can go to Dayland Mall, right there in the dining pavilion, the food court. Get 7 different types of croquetas. Look at go up a little bit, Pete. Look at all these articles right here. Miami Herald, New Times, everybody talking about the best Cuban restaurant in the world, and that is Islas Canarias. Go to the Islas Canarias Express, or you can go to the store out west in Coral Way, the restaurant, the twin restaurants, which will take you back 1955 in Cuba is what it feels like, with the decor, with the food. Just an unbelievable spot. And now if you're not trying to venture that far west, Islas Canarias Cuban Express in the Dayland Mall Dining Pavilion. Get yourself all set up for National Signing Day. Put this show on the screen, put CanesInsight on your computer, and then eat 7 different types of croquetas. Look at this menu. Unbelievable. And you get that fast, but certainly not fast food. Classic Cuban cuisine.
There you go.
So Eric saying, put some respect on my man Lincoln Riley. He may end up with a higher ranked class than Mario. Let's see how it goes, man. Let's see how it goes for old Lincoln. What's his record? 6-6.
Yeah.
So he's got work to do. Year 4, and he had a Heisman with nothing to show. I mean, I guess we kind of did too, right? So maybe I shouldn't be throwing those stones. But we'll see. We'll see on Lincoln Riley. I hope he's available to replace when Dawson leaves. He's available to replace him as offensive coordinator, because I do think the guy's a great play caller.
So, D, tonight at 7, Miami and Arkansas basketball, like we said. And, of course, everything basketball related is brought to you by Aries Law PA. So go to AriesLawPA.com. Aries Law is a full-service law firm with a specialty in estate planning, in business for over 36 years. We have a team of legal professionals dedicated to guiding and protecting you if you are someone's child, grandchild, sibling, and most importantly, someone's parent. You need an estate plan. We prepare trusts, wills, powers of attorney, living wills, and all healthcare documents necessary to provide you the peace of mind you deserve. Schedule an appointment at no cost to you and see how we can protect your hard-earned assets. Plan your future so others don't. Aries Law. So we'll see, D. Hopefully the basketball team I think 4.5-point underdogs in this one. So obviously John Calipari did Miami dirty last year when he was at Kentucky. Has a very talented squad this year, but they're 5-2. Losses to Baylor and Illinois. Haven't really beaten anyone of note, but Miami 4 losses in a row here. So we'll see if they can get it back on track, man.
Yeah, that's all. Coach Larinaga compared it to the Elite 8 team because they had a slow start like that back in 2021. We'll see. Here, wait, hold on. Yeah, EJ saying, D-Money, I didn't forget you saying that this team was Lincoln Riley's OU teams. Did those teams didn't play defense either?
He said you were right. That was his next comment.
Oh, sorry. My guy, I apologize, EJ. Look, it was fun to watch. But Miami's not Oklahoma. You got to play defense. That's part of the identity of this team and this program. It's amazing. I went back and watched that 1992 game against Syracuse, getting ready for the Syracuse game that we had there last week. And to see that Bermuda Triangle, to see Warren Sapp as a young player, Mark Caesar, Darren Crane, some of these guys, man, on that front seven, it was just such a dominant group. And it just looks so different than what we are seeing week in and week out. And I don't know if you'll ever get to that point in the program just because it's a different game now. There's so much talent that accumulated on those teams. The second team was probably better than the first team for some teams here because there was no portal to redistribute some of these guys. But man, you would love it to look a little closer to what you saw in those games. It's not there yet. That's obvious. Yeah. And going back to the recruiting class, because this is a pre-signing day, power to 1850. We'll break down every position as guys get signed tomorrow. We'll go through all of that. But I am struck as you lose a Gavin Nix and a Drake Stubbs, the imbalance between offense and defense in this class. Because if I'm asking you, Pete, who do you like in this class?
They're all offensive guys for the most part. Yeah.
I mean, you're Luke Nickel, right? Jared Pringle, who I think is going to.
I like a Herbert Scroggins. He's one of my favorite guys.
Yeah.
As a defensive prospect.
I think the ends on the defensive side of the ball are exceptional. When you're talking about Herbert Scroggins and Hayden Lowe, different types of guys. Hayden Lowe's your base end. Herbert Scroggins is your rush end. Perfectly complementary, both super productive guys in high school that play with motor. So it's not just the athleticism. They actually get it done on the field. That usually translates. Pass rush production is a pretty sticky stat because guys that get after it, guys that finish, tend to finish as they go higher levels, especially when they got physical ability. So love that position on defense. But linebacker, right now you're sitting with just Marcelin, who's, not a physical phenom by any means. Got to get better there. That was a position of need. Safety, I don't know who you have as safety right now. Maybe Amari Wallace, who's injured. He could be your safety. He's also a nickel. He's a really, really good player, but he's injured, and I don't know if he's a pure safety. Bryce Fitzgerald, I don't know if he's physical enough to play safety, a super playmaker, having a great senior year as far as playmaking. He's returning picks for touchdowns. He's returning kickoffs for touchdowns. He's catching touchdowns. The guy's a super athlete, really, really good player. But is he a physical safety? I'm not sure. And then the corner, you got some guys with Jabari Antoine, who's really, really good, but is injured. He's coming back. I think he'll be fine, but he's coming back from an injury as well. And then Chris Ewald, solid corner, but not a freak athlete by any means. So that secondary still needs a little bit of juice, and the linebacking group needs a little bit of juice. And in the defensive tackle room, you got guys that, Dante Simpson, young player, super athletic, ran a very quick shuttle at the Under Armour Combine, one of the fastest at his position, despite being a really big 310-plus kind of guy and a young player for his grade. But production's up and down. You're hoping he matures. A lot of times that happens. I don't think that's a crazy projection, but he's not a lock and loaded first-year player. Micah Newton, really talented, really productive defensive lineman from Newberry, Florida, but he's 270 pounds. You're counting on him to gain weight to be able to play that defensive tackle spot. He played all over the line in high school. So based on what we have now in the boat, you have a really nice offensive class with a quarterback, running back, tight end, some interior linemen, some wide receivers you feel really, really good about. Other side of the ball, you feel really good about your defensive ends, but some holes that got to get fixed. And the part that concerns you is the areas where you got to plug in some talent. Those are the ones that you really struggled with on the field. So it would have been nice to have some guys ready to play day one at these positions that you needed some help.
Comment here from KB, and got to wrap things up here in a few minutes, Steve. But comment here that says Miami has to pay coordinators like Clemson does $1 to $3 million. I mean, look, people have short memory. I think that that you have to remember Lance Guidry was wanted by other programs last offseason. LSU was one of them, right? That, definitely made a call. He got a contract extension from Miami, so he stayed at Miami. At other places that wanted him. You look at Shannon Dawson this year. He's not someone who's going to leave unless it's a head coaching job, from my understanding, D. I mean, you tell me if I'm wrong on that one.
Nope. That's a
and I think
Award
that
candidate.
Was one of the main things that Mario Cristobal, when he came to Miami, kind of made it known early on was, hey, part of the resources and commitment I need here is paying my staff, right? So I don't think there's been a situation where they haven't gotten a coach because they're not willing to pay, at least while Mario's been here, or retain a coach because they haven't been willing to pay.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's it at all. I mean, you got Shannon Dawson, a candidate for the Broyles Award as a top assistant in football. I think, look, for whatever reason, things don't click always. That's why coaches go to multiple spots and have success elsewhere. That's why coaches have good seasons and then not so good seasons. They're the same coach. They don't get dumber or smarter. So sometimes it's about chemistry and fit. And I'm not saying, this guy's out the door. I'm saying whatever's happening right now is not working, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But if I'm just digging down into some of the things that are available to the naked eye, it's just not a very hard-playing, physical defense. There's no tone setter physically. You don't see that extra strain, that extra effort. You don't see guys getting leveled on the sideline. You see some soft pushes out of bounds. So you just little things, when you go back and watch the film, just these little details of effort, of strain, of physicality, not there. And I think the more I talk to people that know the X's and O's at the highest levels, the more they talk about those kind of things, as opposed to a schematic thing here, a schematic thing there. You need a defense that plays hard. You need a defense that flies to the football. You need a defense that has a culture and identity and that is physical. And right now, we are not that. There's talent issues. There probably are schematic issues. Certainly there's communication issues. But just the little things of effort and physicality. You saw a difference between 2015 and 2016, just to use a classic example from one year to the other, where it just looked completely different in terms of those categories, the effort, the strain, the physicality, the tackling. That can happen, but right now you're not there on defense.
All right, D. Well, again, just want to let everyone know that we'll be live all day tomorrow. We have the marathon. We'll be going on first thing in the morning as the faxes roll in to Hecht, and excited to be here bringing you guys the analysis, the breaking news. Had the crazy Jeremiah Smith stuff last year. There's always something that happens unexpected. And when Mario is involved in recruitments, you never know what could pop on signing day. So fingers crossed. Obviously, the momentum has not been great the last couple of days, but we'll be here bringing you guys all of the action as Miami tries to close off this class as strong as they can.
And don't forget about the Miami Hurricane team store, especially if you're going down to that basketball game against Arkansas. Swing by the Miami Hurricane team store right there in front of campus, right there in front of the Wasco Center, other side of US 1, next to the Thesis Hotel. They got, right now, as we speak, they got a happy hour going on. They got drinks. They got deals. A lot of fun at the Miami Hurricane team store for basketball. But if you're late for that, they're always just bustling with activity as you get to these basketball games, these baseball games on campus. A lot of people roll by the team store, go grab their Christmas shopping, maybe get something to wear to the game. Miami Hurricane team store, MiamiHTS.com. If you're not local, if you can't get to the store, internet, you'll get all these great items. Promo code INSIGHT20 for 20% off any of your first items in the store. MiamiHTS.com. Promo code INSIGHT20 for your Christmas shopping. But we'll see what the Christmas shopping brings tomorrow, man. We'll be on here all day. Hopefully get at least one or two nice surprises and learn more about these players that are joining the team. Because like even if it's a good day, disappointing day, you're going to get some players wearing the colors. And as we saw with OG Frederic and some others, sometimes the ones you don't expect end up helping you quite a bit. So excited to learn more about this class tomorrow and have a fun day with all you guys, man. I'm sure it's going to be rational and level-headed throughout the day.
As always, man, go Canes.
Go Canes.